Jurassic World Evolution 2 is fast approaching, and a question I usually get asked on the channel is whether or not you should buy Jurassic World Evolution 2. Now, first and foremost, spend your money how you like. My main intention when making this video is to give you a rough idea of what's actually new in the sequel, and to inevitably help you decide whether or not to buy it. With that being said, if you do find this video helpful, please consider liking and maybe even subscribing, as your support does really help me out. So to sort of give you an impression of the game itself, if you've somehow never heard of it, I'll split this video up into three main sections. These being what's actually new, what's improved from the first game, and then lastly my opinions on whether or not you should buy it. As I've just mentioned, to begin, I'll go over what's new in Jurassic World Evolution 2. Now this can of course vary from animations, buildings, dinosaurs and reptiles, or even the new management system. Obviously one of the biggest selling points for both JWE and now JWE2 was the dinosaurs, and with the additions of marine and flying reptiles, the game has undeniably gained a lot more traction. And in case you're interested, I'll put the full roster down in the comments. Anyways, this part of the video will be a bit of a buyer beware in regards to Aquatics, as from what we've seen they could definitely be improved. Now, don't get me wrong, the Aquatics look awesome and have some pretty cool animations, but other than that, all they really do is swim about. I say that like we should expect them to break out, which, if you didn't know, was sadly deconfirmed, but I was hoping we could at least give the lagoons a bit of life. When you place a lagoon, it already has rocks pre-built at the bottom, but other than that, there is no decoration besides the viewing galleries and feeders. On a whole, slightly disappointing, but definitely cool nonetheless. On a more positive note, dinosaurs and pterosaurs are miles better than their Jurassic World Evolution counterparts. Each and every species has its own unique set of animations that hopefully are a bit more polished come November 9th, but for the most part a very big improvement from the first game. In case you hadn't seen already, we do finally have pack hunting, which, as we've seen in stuff like the pre-order trailer, isn't actually always going to work, and our dinosaurs will have failed hunts. For example, we've seen failed hunts when a Carno tries to take on a Parasaurolophus but just gets taken out. So if you're somebody who goes for realism, JWE2 is probably the better game for you. And while I'm still on the topic of dinosaurs, the roster is just absolutely crazy. For example, we have the Janjusaurus, Megalosaurus, Atombrasaurus, and at last, Pachyrhinosaurus. I also just wanted to mention Dinosaur Patterns, since I haven't actually seen that many people in the community sort of discussing it, and I think it is quite cool. A big problem for a lot of people, myself included, was in JWE, it was difficult to create a diverse park, as a majority of the patterns were very repetitive. However, you'll be pleased to know that in Jurassic World Evolution 2, each reptile has its own patterns and colours, which you can change to your personal preference. The only downside is that a handful of the patterns do have to be unlocked via research, but personally, for me, I think it's a fair trade. Moving on to another thing I know a lot of people are excited for, and that's the decorations. I think we can all agree that Jurassic World Evolution was lacking when it came to decorating, but thankfully we now have actual placeable decorations in the base game for Jurassic World Evolution 2. We've seen them very briefly, but we can place decor on paths, and I don't actually think they have anything in regards to hitboxes. We also have loads of different types of foliage for decorating enclosures, and putting this in the several or so maps we're getting from launch, it's going to be very hard to get bored. When you put JWE and JWE2 side by side, they look very similar on paper, but in the space of the past 4 or so months, I can assure you Jurassic World Evolution 2 will play like an entirely new game. We now have scientists and researchers to research new buildings, we can customise shops and amenities to our liking, and you can tell from the footage we have that we will have to pay more attention to park management. So, to answer the question, should you buy Jurassic World Evolution 2, I don't really think there's a right or wrong answer. It's heavily opinion based, but when you put both of them side by side, as I've already mentioned, it looks to be a better and more preferable game to Evolution 1. Of course I've already pre-ordered it, so even if you just wait for other people's opinions to come in, if you enjoyed JWE, I have no doubt in my mind you'll enjoy JWE 2 just as much, if not more. That is all for today's video though, and let me know down in the comments, will you be buying Jurassic World Evolution 2? As always though, thanks for watching and enjoy the anticipation.